Commander Zixthai watched the holographic display with mounting concern as another cadet's life signs flatlined in the simulation chamber. The Krellian's crystalline features reflected the pale blue emergency lighting as he marked yet another failure on his datapad. That made 17 consecutive failures of the Void Survival Assessment in the past 3 cycles. "Sir?" His aide, Lieutenant Vorth, approached with obvious hesitation. "The human cadet has requested to attempt the test." Zixthai's mandibles clicked in what passed for a sigh among his species. Humans had only been part of the Galactic Academy for 2 standard years, and their integration had been challenging. They were primitive by most standards, barely having achieved faster-than-light travel, yet they insisted on participating in advanced training programs alongside species that had been spacefaring for millennia. "Very well," Zixthai rumbled, "though I fail to see how a species that still burns hydrocarbons for energy will succeed where our finest cadets have failed." The Void Survival Assessment was the Academy's most feared examination. Cadets were ejected in emergency pods with minimal life support into the crushing darkness between star systems, with only basic materials and their training to sustain them for 72 standard hours. The test had been designed by the Nexari, masters of void walking who could survive in hard vacuum for days using specialized biotechnology. Even they admitted it was nearly impossible. Cadet Sarah Chen entered the briefing room with the peculiar confidence that seemed to characterize her species. She was small by galactic standards, her pale skin bearing the marks of her homeworld's harsh solar radiation, but her dark eyes held an intensity that made even veteran instructors uncomfortable. "Cadet Chen," Zixthai began, his translator struggling with human pronunciation. "Are you certain you wish to attempt this assessment? 17 cadets from advanced civilizations have already—" "With respect, sir," Chen interrupted. "A breach of protocol that would have earned any other cadet disciplinary action. They weren't human." The pod bay fell silent as Chen suited up in standard emergency gear, a basic atmospheric recycler, thermal regulator, emergency beacon, and a survival kit containing protein paste, water recycler, and basic tools, the same equipment that had proven inadequate for every previous attempt. As the pod launched into the void, the Academy's senior staff gathered in the observation deck. The test zone was a carefully monitored region of space, far enough from any stellar bodies to simulate true interstellar conditions, yet close enough for rescue if needed. "Impressive initial vitals," noted Dr. Helk, the Academy's chief medical officer. Her tentacled form swayed as she analyzed the biometric data. Heart rate elevated but stable. Oxygen consumption within normal parameters for her species. Hour 6 brought the first surprise. While previous cadets had desperately attempted to conserve power and resources, Chen was building something. The long-range sensors detected her gathering debris from her pod's external panels and arranging them in precise configurations outside her vessel. "What is she doing?" Lieutenant Vorth asked, his scaled brow furrowed in confusion. By hour 12, the answer became clear and impossible to believe. Chen had constructed what could only be described as a combustion device, using emergency fuel cells, spare oxygen canisters, and debris arranged as a reflective array. She had created a sustained chemical reaction that provided both heat and light in the absolute cold of space. "She's built a fire," whispered Commander Zixthai, his translator barely functioning through his shock. "In vacuum. She's built a fire in the void." The implications were staggering. While other species had evolved sophisticated biotechnology or relied on advanced equipment, humans had taken the most primitive technology imaginable and adapted it to the most hostile environment in the galaxy. The makeshift furnace not only provided warmth but also served as a beacon, its infrared signature visible across vast distances. But Chen wasn't finished. Using the heated metal from her improvised furnace, she began fashioning tools, shaping debris into more efficient forms. She created a solar collector from polished pod fragments, maximizing energy absorption from distant stars. Most remarkably, she established a routine. Maintenance periods, rest cycles, even what appeared to be recreational activities as she carved primitive art into metal fragments. "She's not just surviving," Dr. Helk observed as they entered hour 48. "She's thriving. Her stress indicators are lower than most cadets experience during basic physical training." The final 24 hours revealed the full scope of human adaptability. Chen had transformed her survival pod into something resembling a primitive space station. Her fire burned steadily, fed by a carefully managed fuel system she had jury-rigged from the pod's components. She had established a sustainable ecosystem in the most impossible conditions imaginable. When the retrieval ship arrived at the 72-hour mark, they found Chen sitting beside her void fire, humming what appeared to be a song from her homeworld. Her survival kit remained largely untouched, having sustained herself through ingenious water recycling and improvised nutrition extraction from the pod's organic components. "How?" Commander Zixthai asked when Chen reported to his office after medical clearance. "How did you succeed where advanced civilizations failed?" Chen's response would become legend throughout the academy, repeated in tactical courses and survival training for generations. "Commander, every other species in this academy evolved on worlds where the environment was largely predictable. They developed technology to overcome specific challenges. Humans evolved on a world that was actively trying to kill us every single day. We didn't develop technology to overcome challenges. We developed the ability to make fire anywhere, from anything, under any conditions. We turned survival into an art form before we even discovered the wheel." She paused, her eyes reflecting something ancient and primal that predated starflight by millions of years. "You put me in the void with basic materials and asked me to survive. I did what my ancestors did in ice ages, in deserts, in the deepest caves on Earth. I made fire, and I made dew." The void survival assessment was retired the following cycle, replaced with collaborative survival scenarios. The Academy had learned that some species didn't just adapt to harsh environments. They turned impossibility into opportunity, darkness into light, and the cold vacuum of space into just another campground under unfamiliar stars. In the Academy archives, a single line was added to the human species profile. Recommendation: never underestimate their ability to make fire where fire cannot exist.